This week, I walked into what I thought would be a marketing strategy session. We were supposed to be talking about lead generation, funnels, and a new membership offer. By the end of 90 minutes, we weren't talking about marketing at all. We were talking about why an established business, one that had served nearly 20,000 educators across 28 states in the US, expanded internationally, had a strong social media following, published books, and had real credibility in their space, was still feeling like they had to start over every single quarter. And somewhere in that conversation, I realized something that I think applies to almost every entrepreneur I know. Most businesses don't have a lead problem, they had a relationship operating system problem. Today, at the Stewardship Leader podcast, I want to share that story, the real one, not the polished version, and why I believe the highest ROI activity in your business may already exist inside your existing contact list. And at the end of this podcast, I'm going to give you the exact framework I built as a result of this conversation. It's called the Relationship Capital Operating System, and you can download it free at www.expertise2revenue.com/RCOS. Let's dive in. Let me tell you what happened inside this client meeting. This is a husband and wife team, educators. They're both authors. They do in person and virtual professional development workshops for schools and districts. And they built real credibility over years, not through massive ad spend, but through books, speaking engagements, and doing excellent work that made school leaders tell other school leaders about them. So when we first started working together, the assumption was we need to grow digitally. They need funnels, memberships, and marketing that works while they sleep. So the goal was to build something that didn't require them to always be physically present because, traveling takes time, energy, and money. And so for a few months now, we focus on digital growth. We worked on a membership community. We had that already running. We also ran Facebook ads. We had a lot of content that we put out to attract uh, their ideal clients into the membership community, and we explored content strategies, all reasonable things. But during this particular meeting, something shifted. The client started talking through his data, years and years of data, and the data kept pointing in the same direction. He said every major contract they had closed, every school that kept coming back, every referral that turned into revenue, it all traced back to relationships. A speaking engagement where 200 administrators heard him, a podcast guest who dropped his name, to a school district in LA, a school he worked with in Massachusetts that told another school, who told another school, until he had five schools in one district. And he said something like this: I kept trying to build a digital business because I wanted to travel less. But every time I look at the data, the revenue kept pointing me back to relationships. So that is one of the most honest things a business owner can say. He wasn't abandoning the digital strategy overall. He was finally listening to what his business had been telling him all along. That data will tell you where your business actually grows if you're willing to read it honestly. Now, I want to be careful here because I don't want this episode to become an anti marketing rant. Marketing isn't bad, nor funnels or ads. They aren't bad. But I've noticed a pattern. And so in this particular client conversation confirmed it. Many businesses use marketing tactics to compensate for weak relationship stewardship. When revenue feels unpredictable, the instinct is to launch something new, run ads, build another funnel, post more content, try a new platform, and the list goes on. And yeah, and sometimes those things help. But often, if we're honest, they become expensive ways of avoiding a much simpler question. Do we actually know who is already inside our world? Because here's what I've learned: marketing should amplify relationships, it shouldn't replace them. When you build marketing on top of a foundation of well stewarded relationships, it works beautifully. The content resonates because you know exactly who you're talking to. The offers land because they solve real problems you've actually heard from your direct clients. And the referrals multiply because people already trust you. But when marketing is trying to fill a hole that relationships should fill, it gets expensive and it really compounds. So here's the framework shift I want to offer you today. Think of your relationships as a financial investment account. If you had $1 million investment portfolio, you wouldn't forget where it was. You wouldn't leave it unmanaged. You wouldn't rely on memory to keep track of it. You'd had a system. Yet most business owners do exactly that with relationships that are worth far more to their long term revenue than any single investment. So let me walk you through what I mean by relationship capital operating system. So every business already has it, but don't know that it's called a relationship capital. So this includes your current clients, which are the people actively paying you right now. Next are your past clients, which are people who have already trusted you with their money and their problems. Warm leads, these are the people in active conversation who haven't said yes yet to working with you. Referral partners are the people who have access to your ideal clients and would gladly make introductions. Strategic collaborators are people whose work complements yours. Community connectors are podcast guests, conference organizers, event speakers, association leaders, in this case, for this particular clients who can open doors for you. Champions are the people who believe in your work and will advocate for it without being asked. So every one of those categories, current clients, past clients, warm leads, referral partners, strategic collaborators, community connectors, and champions, they represent dormant revenue, not hypothetical revenue, not if everything goes perfect revenue. Revenue that is already warm, already trusting, already partially convinced, and just waiting for intentional follow through. And here's the sobering part: relationship capital compounds over time, but only if it's stewarded intentionally. And without a system, it depreciates quietly through neglect, not because anyone is being careless or unkind, but simply because life moves fast. And what doesn't have a system doesn't get tended. The client I mentioned has school districts that told him they want to book him for next year. For my clients who've said, let's reconnect when the funding comes through. A principal in Vermont who said, keep me in mind. A school in New York whose funding was cut, who asked him to circle back in October. So none of these relationships are lost. They're simply sitting in someone's memory. In this case, for my client, they're buried in an inbox, or it could be living in a spreadsheet no one opens, right? So not that's not a marketing problem. That's stewardship problem. One of my mentors often says, eight-figure entrepreneurs obsess over the fundamentals that six-figure entrepreneurs believe they're ready to advance for. Now, I keep finding that to be true. The bigger a business becomes, the less its leaders are chasing every new tactic. Instead, they become increasingly focused and disciplined about the fundamentals: following up, reactivating past clients, asking for referrals, renewing relationships, and organizing contact data. These are the fundamentals that are activities that are not exciting, but they're repeatable, measurable, and over time they compound. Predictable revenue comes from predictable stewardship. That's the discipline most businesses know they should have, but don't because nobody built them the system to execute it consistently. So, which brings me to what I want to give to you today. During and after that client meeting, I realized something. The conversation itself had unlocked the framework, not just a philosophy, but a practical operating system for turning relationship capital into consistent revenue. And so let me ask you a few questions. For every meaningful relationship in your business, can you quickly answer who owns this relationship? How valuable is it? Where are they in the relationship journey? What's the right offer for this person? When did we last connect? And what is the next touch point? So if you can't answer those questions for your most important relationships, you don't have a relationship operating system. You have a memory based system, which means revenue is dependent on inspiration, energy, and you know who happened to come to mind this week. And that's not sustainable because it's not honoring the relationships you've already worked so hard to build. The relationship capital operating system is a spreadsheet that I built to answer exactly these questions for this particular client. And so carries over with other clients as well. So the relationship capital operating system is the spreadsheet I built to answer exactly these questions for every relationship category in your business. It organizes your contacts into 5 categories, like I mentioned, your current clients, past clients, your warm leads, your referral partners, and the new prospects in your ecosystem. And it captures the relationship stage, the buyer, the offer or program fit, and your follow up rhythm. So that stewardship becomes a discipline practice. And this is not a CRM software. It doesn't require a subscription and it's not complicated. It's a stewardship system, and the difference matters. CRM manages data. Your stewardship system reminds you that every name in that list is a relationship you've earned and a responsibility you carry. So let me bring you back to where I started. The client meeting ended without solving a single marketing problem, but it turned out there wasn't one to solve. What we found instead was something more valuable, a clear picture of the relationships already inside that business, relationships already earned, already warm, already pointing toward revenue, just waiting for a better system to steward them. We identified past clients ready to activate. We identified past clients ready to reactivate, schools in the same districts as current clients, and just waiting for an introduction, podcast guests who'd already signaled they wanted to give back, referral partners whose reach could multiply every outreach effort. And so none of those required a new funnel, more content, or another ad campaign. It just required a system and a commitment to working it consistently. So that's the kind of work I believe in, helping businesses see what they already have, helping them reconnect instead of constantly replacing, helping revenue become something that's built on stewardship and not just inspiration. So, if today's conversation resonated with you, if you found yourself thinking about relationships you haven't followed up with, clients you haven't reactivated, or referral partners you haven't thanked in a while, I want to give you the tool that makes the work concrete, and it's called your Relationship Capital Operating System. And it's the exact framework I use with clients because relationships shouldn't depend on memory. They deserve a system. And you can download it for free at www.expertise-to-revenue.com/RCOS. It takes about an hour to fill in the simple spreadsheet for the first time. And once you do, you'll see your business differently. Go get it and then go steward what you've already been trusted with. I'll see you in the next episode.